CBT News celebrates 12 years of delivering news, content, coaching, and analysis to the retail automotive community. The strongest team in automotive media, CBT News. You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Inside Automotive right here at the CBT Automotive Network. I've got a great guest for you today that I'm excited to jump into so many different topics. But first, the car buying experience is changing fast. Now consumers are the ones that are setting the rules. Dealers who recognize this shift will thrive, and those that don't will probably be left behind. So joining us today is a very good friend of mine, Mr. Peter Cooper, who is the president and CEO of Lexus of Lehigh Valley in PA. You've seen him here before on CBT News. He brings the goods every time he comes on. That's why we love to have him as a guest. So thank you, Peter, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule there at your beautiful Lexus store to spend some time with us and share your thoughts on some of these ideas that we're going to be talking about today.
Jim, as always, great to be here.
Sure.
Love catching up with you before and after the show.
Well, good. So we're going to be talking about some things here. And I do want to talk to you about what I just opened with, which is the consumer experience that's changing and dealers that get it and what have you. But before we get into that, there's, the last time I talked to you, Biden was president. So yeah. That's a big thing, right? And I know that you keep your hand on the pulse of all things political because it flows into business and you know what's going on out there, and you're a great representation of retail automotive and you represent dealers. So let's kind of start there. What kind of an impact do you think a Trump administration will have on specifically the automotive industry? I mean, already he's made some big moves, right?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question, and I don't want to stay away from the politics. I think that what we see every time we have an administration was a pendulum's going to swing. I think today the pendulum is not a pendulum; it's a wrecking ball.
That's a good way to put that. I like that.
Yeah, and I think if you think about this, the impact that Trump has had, good, bad, or indifferent, has been with warp speed.
Yeah,
undoing a lot of chaos, creating a lot of chaos. And I think that we can all speculate what's going to happen. It's for the good, and it's going to trickle down to the consumer. Maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah. So there's two things about it that we have a tendency to. Why do I care so much? Why do people care so much? Why have we become so divided? And I think it's a really big question. Mm-hmm. And I think it all comes down to, fundamentally, we don't feel exactly safe where we are. Mm-hmm. And these shifts are so dramatic these days. The uncertainty is so dramatic. And I think that the speed with which it happens is chaotic. And I think where we're struggling, as older guys, as our industry, as our society, is the speed with which chaos is intersecting our lives today.
Yeah.
And I think leading into our conversation, the only way that we can really continue to flourish is that we learn to lean into chaos. Mm-hmm. It's going to be with us. It's happening faster and faster, and we can't get distracted by it, but we need to embrace it.
The NADA was just this past week, and we talked a little bit about that before we got recording. I know that you weren't able to get out there. There were a lot of people that were talking about AI, obviously, and the role that it's going to be playing in retail automotive. The analysts that I spoke to from Cox Automotive and so many other companies, Bloomberg Intelligence and Edmunds and such, all feel as though it's going to be a pretty good year in retail automotive. They're talking like maybe low 16s in terms of the SAR. And while grosses aren't what they were 3 years ago, overall, it's going to be a pretty good year. Something that would be around 2018, 2019 with regard to, that level of business. What's your take on that?
So again, I don't know that I'm an economist or, I have the insight to, and the data that all these big companies gather. I think the most important thing is what we have to look at, and we focus on here, is how the consumer is changing the way in which they consume. And early on, you and I spoke about AI, and I think if I walked downstairs and engaged with some customers and our employees. And I said to people at 40 and older, like, so how is AI going to intersect with your life? And everybody would pontificate. And then you could ask them, well, how's it intersecting with your life today? And they would say, well, I don't think that it is. And yet you go and do a Google search today.
Yep.
And it's all AI that's out there.
That's right.
And I think the most important thing in that is what can we learn as an industry? And I think we want to learn, we keep focusing on what is critically important, my current profitability and what's that immediate horizon. And I think the horizons are coming much quicker to us, again, more chaotic, and we need to be thinking differently to prepare for that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's kind of dive in there. What are you noticing in the shift of consumers today, whether it be at your store or within the industry,
or within ourselves?
Yeah.
I think that's
there you go. Good place to start.
Because we have to look at how we go about consuming.
Sure.
It's going to lead us in the right path. So today, data says 60% of the populace will believe technology before it will believe a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people today who really have gone out and spent their time shopping, finding the exact vehicle they want. They have a pretty good idea as to what they should pay for it, and they've got good data as to what their car is worth.
Right.
And we're trying to figure out, well, how do I get that lead to come to me in a faster way, a more efficient way? And then I get the lead, and I'm going to do something with them that they've already done. They already have the information, but I want to convince them how the information is wrong or not accurate.
Right, right.
And it doesn't make for a successful transaction. If you couple it with, we've traditionally said, okay, how are our pay plans weighted to an extreme incentive based?
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, I think we have to go backwards and say, okay, what's a good human capital strategy for where we are? Mirror with great to meet our process that we need. To ultimately give the consumer better experience, build out loyalty.
Right, right. And there has always been this disconnect, I think, with the experience that a consumer gets on a showroom floor or online or on the phone with the compensation that they're set up with, right? I mean, there's always been, and that's kind of been the angst right there from the time they say hello to that customer. Obviously, the salesperson wants to make as much gross as they can. The customer wants to pay as little amount as money. The salesman wants to pay a little amount on ACV, or the house does, and the customer wants the moon on ACV or the trade allowance. And it seems it's always been that way, right? And yet you've got this instant argument that lasts for 4 hours on a Saturday in a showroom.
Well, again, I think I've said it to you before. I don't know anybody in America today that doesn't work hard to earn their money.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody in America today that's not working hard to spend their money. So,
that's right.
So we just got to make it easier for people to spend their money.
Yeah.
So part of that is, how do we adjust human capital for that?
Mm-hmm.
And, I look as a dealer, we've had, you have a good month, you have a bad month, depends of, availability, depends upon sales event.
Sure.
So our income is, going up and down constantly.
Right.
Ergo, it affects, our front line, their
Mm-hmm.
incomes going up and down. And when I look at it and I say, what am I asking when I'm hiring somebody? Mm-hmm. Traditionally, I'm asking somebody who could be the best liar,
mm-hmm.
who can persuade, the customer the best,
right.
that they're right. Oh, and by the way, I want to pay you on a sliding scale that's going to go up and down.
Right.
When I look at that and say, who wants to work in that environment? That percent of the population is going down and down. And down.
No question. No question.
So we're vulnerable to that.
Yeah.
And we have to start with what's a good human capital strategy for us. And you and I have spoken about this before. What type of position or job would I want my child to do?
That's right.
So today it's really a really great income. It's good benefits, and it's a work-life balance.
Right.
And how do we get there first and offer that? And for us, it's in our marketplace. How do we do that? We won't take people from within our industry because they have this mindset that's hard to change out of. And we're going to go on 26 months in a row, year over year, best month. and our people make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we help, we've created a process that helps people buy. I don't want them to sell anything, because truthfully, none of us want to be sold. And it plagues our business. It transforms into the service department.
Right.
Why aren't people coming to a dealership? I mean, I think the number 2 reason is, after expense, price and convenience, I'm afraid I'm going to be sold something.
Sure.
People don't want that.
Right. Yeah.
Your dealers don't want that in their lives.
Right.
Why would they want to give that as an experience to their customer?
That's right. That's a very good point. Let me ask you this crazy question. Lexus is obviously killing it, as is Toyota, as is a number of other brands out there, and Subaru and so many other brands have had such a great run here. Do you still need that top hardcore sales professional to hit their 15, 20 cars a month, pay them 15 grand a month? Or is it really more about the product itself? When I was selling cars, the cars were such crap in the 80s. You had to be a really good salesperson to put somebody behind the wheel, which, by the way, for 48 months, not 60 or 72, and make it work. Today, the vehicles are so incredible, right? I don't want to say they sell themselves, because they don't. However, we have been shown by companies like Carvana and companies like Vroom, although they didn't last, and companies like CarMax, where it's less about the hardcore, top-notch sales pro, and it's more about the overall customer experience and the product that they're buying, backed with a great warranty. Do you think we can find a fair medium that says, look, instead of having to bring these people in to say you're going to get paid based on the gross and the volume, what if they got paid 60 grand a year in a small sniping for each car that rolled, and they had a 40-hour work week instead of a 400-hour work week, and with great benefits? Am I crazy thinking that, or is...
Well, people told me I was crazy when I thought that way 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's taken us a long time to refine that process. But the truth is, I think it's the only way. It's the only way to go. First of all, the marketplace is going to take care of, is Subaru a good brand? Is Toyota a good brand? Is
Right.
Honda? The marketplace is taking care of that, and the consumers are doing the research. I don't think word of mouth means what it means, because I'm going to believe the computer before I'm going to believe somebody else. So I think the marketplace is taking care of a lot of that.
That's right. And the word of mouth today is actually online reviews.
Yeah, it's not. It may not even be that. It's all digital, because I'm not even going to look at a review. I'm not going to get to your reviews unless you've given me what I want. Make it easy there.
That's
then
right.
I'll look at you.
That's right.
So the process is shifting dramatically. So when I look at it and I say, your question is it's the question to ask. And again, the marketplace will take care of gross profits, and everybody is looking at, how do I knock a consumer's head off and make that really, really big deal so I can afford to take low grossing deals.
Right.
And it's really, I just want to have a great process in consuming, and that becomes our brand.
That's right.
So we pay all of our people, a substantial salary.
Okay. You're already there on that.
Yeah, we're already there. The incentives that they get are just based upon, again, we don't negotiate on pricing. Mm-hmm. Market's taking care of that. Mm-hmm. The only incentive they get is when they reach a certain volume, we give them a number, and that volume they can control potentially in lead conversion.
Okay. What percentage, if somebody crushes it, what percentage of their monthly compensation is based on the volume bonus versus the salary?
Under 10%.
Ah, okay. So they're still focused on taking good care of the customer with a small amount that says, hey, you did a great job, Bobby. Here's another $500 or $1,000 or whatever the case might be. Right. Interesting to me that Lucid, Tesla, Scout, all of these others, they don't pay their salespeople anything on gross. They all have a 40-hour work week. Tesla, needless to say, people say it's in a category by itself, but is it? They're still selling vehicles. They're still selling. They're still dealing with consumers. They're still taking trade-ins, and yet we didn't see what Elon saw, and that was just focus on building a great product and hiring good, educated, people that
I
that can
think he
take care of
focused
customers.
Jim, I think to your point, he focused on a process.
Right.
I'm not sure how good a vehicle he's building.
Yeah, right.
But he focused on the process is how do we make it easier for people to consume?
Right.
And he looked at it on a global level. So we're looking at it very myopically and saying what's happening in the Lehigh Valley or whatever market people are in.
Sure.
And I think people, for the most part in this country, look at it the same. And I start with how we become sustainable. It's process and human capital.
Hey, switching gears a little bit with you, talking about Lexus and Toyota. Big news just before NADA, and that's the departure of Jack Hollis as the COO of Toyota. Man, that was big news that it came about kind of abruptly. Any comments or thoughts on that you want to share?
Well, I think my comments would probably be the same as yours. I mean, anybody that knows Jack and his family, they are just the finest people that you ever.
The guy is a stand-up guy.
Right. Jack's leadership, I mean, he did not take the traditional path to the top of the company.
Yeah.
He will create a huge void.
Yeah.
I also believe that he's going to land on his feet doing something.
Sure.
He'll do something that will be in line with his passions for life. He's a man of faith. I think he really gave serious thought to what leaving meant to him and to his family. And if I flip it over, Toyota has lost leaders before.
Yeah.
They'll recover. They're an unbelievable partner, over decades, and we're all going to be fine. I just, pray for Jack and his family to find peace and happiness and continued success.
Yep, for sure. Your take on 2025 from where you sit there in PA with a Lexus store. I mean, I know you're always crushing it, but think it's going to be a good year?
It's just they're all good years. Some are better than others.
So says the Lexus dealer. They're all good years.
Again,
I haven't had a bad year in 30 years.
No, I think you're really touching on something. So let me say, yes, it's going to be a good year. But I think that the thing that's really that we have a tendency to look at the industry and say, how are things or what's it going to be like? And I think more and more the variables by franchise become more challenging or more easy depending upon the franchise. And there isn't one size fits all. Right. So for me to say, as a Lexus dealer, yeah, it's going to be great because I got the best partners. Easy to say. Is it if I'm a Stellantis dealer? I wouldn't want to be a Nissan dealer today. I think it depends upon where you are in the industry.
That's right. Very, very good point. Very good point. Peter Cooper, President and CEO of Lexus of Lehigh Valley. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We very much appreciate it. It is always great catching up with you. You're a wealth of knowledge for us and for our viewers. So thanks so much. I can't wait till the next time. I got about 14 other questions here that time wouldn't permit me to ask you. So my producer's in the control room already setting this up for the next one. So thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for all you're doing for our industry. To you and your family, I pray, you stay healthy first and foremost, and we all could find more peace in what we're doing.
That's right.
And I'm grateful for you. So thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. Until next time, stay well.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.